Hi everybody, welcome back to Salvaged by Sammy. I'm Samantha Stoddard. And a few days ago, I asked my Instagram followers what furniture flipping questions they had, and I got a lot of responses. So today, we are just gonna go through all of those questions, answer them, go through some tips, some of my favorite products, and just go through a whole list of things that's gonna make your furniture flipping journey easier when you first get started. Before we get started, I would love if you guys could hit the subscribe button and follow me on my other social media channels so you never miss a project. I got an overwhelming number of questions just asking like my favorite paint sprayer, my favorite rollers, paint brushes, just all my favorite products. So we're gonna start out with that and just give you a list. These are all my tried and true favorite products. I have a really hard time of finding products that I love and then not ever trying other products because I just like to stick with what's worked for me. And pretty much all of these products I've used for the past 2.5 years. So they've all been put to the test and I stand behind all of them. That's not to say that there's not other incredible products out there. These are just the ones that I tend to continue to use. The first step in every furniture flip is cleaning. So my go-to cleaner is Crud Cutter. I use it in our house, I use it in our bathroom, everywhere, but it's a degreaser, so it's gonna remove all the dust, the grime, the buildup oils that are on a furniture piece. You can buy it in like a gallon and mix it in with some water. That's what I do because it's more cost effective because I use so much of it. But you also can buy a TSP concentrate and mix that in with water. Next is sanders. I have the Surf Prep sander. I have the 3" by 4" electric ray sander. It is a very expensive sander. It's not for the beginner, but if you're somebody that flips furniture a lot or does woodworking, I cannot recommend it enough. It is the best on the market. It's incredible. But my first entire year of furniture flipping, I used a rigid sander and then kind of makeshift hooked it up to my shop vac so that it would still collect all the dust. The rigid sanders are incredible. They have normal sanders and they have orbital sanders. Ryobi also has a great cordless option as well if you're looking for a battery powered one. So primers now can be very hit or miss. I feel like I've tried probably every primer on the market at this point, but my two favorites are Bin's primer with shellac inside of it. So it's gonna be a stain blocking primer. Kills also makes a very similar product and theirs is great as well. And then Lily Moon Paint has a water-based stain blocking primer. So it has the same stain blocking abilities, but it's water-based, which I love because I put my primers and paints into my paint sprayer, and I'm gonna be honest, I hate cleaning out oil-based out of my paint sprayer. It's not super hard, I'm just lazy when it comes to that, and I like being able to just rinse out my paint sprayer. Next up is paint, and I swear with my life on Fusion Mineral Paint, Lily Moon Paint, and Melange paints. Fusion was actually the first paint I ever tried. It's what got me hooked into furniture flipping. I saw a girl paint her front door with it on Instagram one time and decided to try it. I used it to paint my first ever furniture piece, which was my husband's old IKEA set. I didn't put a top coat on it, I didn't prime it, I just sanded down an IKEA set, and those nightstands and headboard held up for 2 years, and I love Fusion. It's incredible. Lily Moon and Melange are the exact same way. They all have very similar formulas. They're all mineral paints. I prefer to stick with mineral paints. I like chalk paints, but the kind of furniture I refinish, I don't really use more of like a distressed look. Like I like the modern look. So I've used chalk paint before, I've used milk paint before, but I tend to just stick with the mineral paint because of the coverage, the durability, and it's just my favorite for the overall look. Top coats. Okay, so top coats can literally make or break your piece. I tried an oil-based top coat when I first started refinishing furniture, and it turned a light colored white piece yellow because oil-based top coats are gonna yellow over time. Personally, my favorite top coat to use is Varathane's water-based polyurethane. It's water-based, which I love because it's so easy to clean up, but it's so durable as well. And you can use it on light colors, they won't yellow, stains, dark colors, everything, and it's so durable. The other one that I've recently tried is Minwax's Wipe On Polyurethane. So that one is an oil base, so I don't recommend you using it on any light colored pieces, but I've been using it on all my raw wood pieces and it is incredible. It's super fast drying, it's self-leveling, so I put it on with like a sponge brush and it levels out, there's no bubbles, so that one's been great as well. I'm always getting asked where I get my hardware from, and 95% of the time that you guys see hardware on my pieces, it's from Amazon. At first, when I first started ordering hardware off of Amazon, I was super nervous about the quality. I now have a bunch of them that I just trust. They're all linked to my Amazon storefront, but just look at the reviews on Amazon. I don't obviously order any that have bad reviews, but Amazon and Hobby Lobby have some of the best hardware. Hobby Lobby also runs 50% off on their hardware. So wait until they are doing that, and then I go and stock up on a whole bunch of different hardware, because they have really neat hardware that's like the diamonds or pinks or blues or glass, and so they're designs that you won't really find anywhere else. So wait until they're running the 50% off and then go stock up on some fun hardware. All right, let's move on to another question. So I have some notes over here on my computer, so that's why I keep looking down, but this next question is, what are some good beginner tips? So my Hail Mary beginner tip to furniture flipping is to start small. And my first piece I ever painted was my husband's old IKEA set. I did a massive headboard, bed frame, and nightstands, and then turned around and tried to strip down a dresser to raw wood. I don't recommend that whatsoever. Get yourself a small nightstand or a small chest and start with that. That way you're not overwhelmed when you're first starting. Another tip to keep you from getting overwhelmed is to find a piece that doesn't need a ton of work. If you maybe have to patch some little sections or patch some nicks or dents, that's so much easier than finding a piece that needs the whole top replaced or massive sections of veneer replaced. Maybe this piece has just a few nicks and dents that need patched. Maybe your next piece has a few chunks of missing veneer. Also, whenever you are starting out, do your best to keep the materials to a minimum. Don't spend a ton of money. I don't recommend your first time painting a piece to be going out and buying a paint sprayer. If you want to, that's great, but your first piece needs to be a piece that you're gonna practice on and see if you even like furniture flipping. Nobody wants to spend $500 buying all these materials, spending $200 on a piece just to get halfway through and realize they hate it. Along with that, find a free piece if you can. Find a piece from garage sale or free on Facebook or something you already have so that you don't have to put a ton of money into it. And my last tip is gonna be to have all of your materials before you start your project. There is nothing worse than getting halfway through a project, realizing you're missing something. Maybe you're on a time crunch and then you have to run to a home improvement store to pick something up or order something on Amazon and it's not here for 2 or 3 days. Have a list, collect all your materials. Just like you wouldn't start a recipe before you have all your ingredients, have all your materials prior to starting. All right, where do I find all of my solid wood furniture pieces? So Facebook Marketplace is by far my #1 place that I search. My husband jokes and probably gets mad at me sometimes because I'm always on my phone. I'm always on Facebook Marketplace. But just the other day, I messaged somebody 5 minutes after they posted something because I just happened to be on there scrolling, and I got an incredible mid-century piece for $200, which pretty much needed zero work. It didn't need a lot at all. So Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, garage sales, thrift stores, if you have somewhere like Habitat for Humanity, those are great places as well. And lastly, you can always use a piece you already have. So like I said, with you not wanting to spend a lot of money, ask a family member. They might have a piece that you can practice on or reuse, or use something you already have in your house. So the next question is, what are some tips for selling furniture. So at this point, I have kind of built up a local clientele and then also a clientele through my social media pages. Locally, a lot of it is just word of mouth, but when I first started, I started on Facebook Marketplace and I still post there occasionally. I would also link my Instagram so people would then follow through there, which is where they would see all of my furniture makeovers. When you're selling on Facebook, in the description, my biggest tip is that you want to make people envision this piece in their home. Say you're trying to sell a buffet. My favorite time of the year is Christmas. So if I'm trying to sell a buffet around Thanksgiving or Christmas time, you can say this piece will be perfect for hosting family, for filling with food to make a buffet style dinner. Make people imagine it in their homes. You also can highlight all of the decor that this piece would match with. So especially if you have a neutral piece, you can highlight how this piece will go with all different decor styles. Despite if you're changing your decor over the next few years, this piece will grow with your home. Probably the best thing to get your pieces to sell online is to stage them. I'm gonna add in a picture of a cabinet that I did last year. I posted it on Facebook unstaged because I just wanted to get rid of it, and then it wouldn't sell. I ended up taking it inside, completely staging it, and it sold within 2 days. So I'll put those pictures side by side so you can see them below, but it makes a world of difference. But like I said, you want people to imagine this piece in their home. With the garage in the background, nobody's gonna imagine that piece in their home. They're not gonna realize it was refinished, but if you bring it inside, stage it, put some decor in it, they're gonna imagine how that could look in their own dining room. And lastly, always put the dimensions in there. Personally, if you're able to, always offer free local delivery. That's just kind of an incentive, because if you don't offer delivery, you don't have to, but it does limit your buyers because not everybody has the ability to come pick it up. Next question, how do you avoid brush strokes? So this is probably one of my #1 questions that I get asked. Using a paint sprayer obviously is gonna completely eliminate brush strokes. You won't even have to worry about it. But using a proper brush is gonna help tremendously. Zipper brushes are my favorite. They're incredible. They have super soft bristles, which helps avoid brush strokes. But if you still get them, especially on darker pieces, you can use a mister, so you can spray down your piece a little bit. That will just help the water mix with the paint and it won't show brush strokes as much. For complex pieces, what website do you go to figure things out? Furniture flipping is a whole lot of trial and error. So that's honestly the whole reason I created this YouTube channel. A lot of my videos on Instagram and TikTok, they're very short, they're very sped up, and it doesn't really go into detail. So this YouTube channel is my way of going into detail, showing you guys all the behind the scenes, all of what goes into an actual furniture flip, unlike Instagram Reels where a 30-second video actually took me 3-4 days. Go to YouTube, look up furniture flippers. I don't have a website that I go to necessarily, but I rely so heavily on other creators, other furniture flippers. People like Lauren from Furniture Flipping Teacher, DIY Wife, Christina Mascari from Pretty Distressed. They are all incredible YouTubers that go step by step, and that's just what I'm hoping to create this channel to be. When do I strip furniture versus when do I sand furniture? This is also another very popular question. So up until about 6 months ago, I hated stripping furniture because I used to use Citrus Strip, which just leaves a very gooey, gunky mess everywhere. And it just completely turned me off from it. I didn't want to use it anymore. It just became too much of a mess, too much of a hassle. So I ended up just sanding everything. I now use Clean Strip, which is incredible. It's what you guys see me using recently. It doesn't leave nearly as much of a residue or a mess, but I typically use Stripper if there's veneer and I'm worried about sanding through. So if I want to leave part of it raw wood or all of it raw wood, I'll just strip down. That way I don't have to sand with anything higher than say 150 grit. but I also strip when there's like a thick paint or a thick varnish that would take me forever to sand through. Now, if you don't want to use chemicals, you can always sand. It might take you a little bit longer. You might risk sanding through the veneer, but you can also use what's called a carbide scraper. I'll add a little video here that you can see, where it's basically just a blade and you just take it and scrape off the top coat or the varnish, whatever is left on there. That way you don't have to spend as much time sanding. Let me look for another one. All right, what is my favorite type of furniture to flip? So I love flipping mid-century modern. A lot of the pieces that you guys will see on social media of furniture refinishers, sometimes people just paint them because they like to paint, but most of the time pieces have a lot more damage than you will see just in the videos. I love mid-century modern. I like to refinish it when I can and restore it, but I love to paint it. I get a ton of hate for it. People hate when I paint mid-century modern, but there's usually a lot more damage than you can see. That's gonna be it for today, but thank you so much for all your questions, and I really hope that me answering some of these and talking through them is gonna save you guys some heartaches, some issues, some mistakes when you're first starting furniture flipping. I am always available through message on any of my social media platforms, as well as if you comment any other questions you have on this video, I'll try to get back to them. Thank you guys again for watching. Please hit the subscribe button so you never miss a video, and I'll see you next week.